Welcome to the Prophecy Club, www.watchmanstrumpet.com, www.watchmanstrumpet.com. Go there, read all of it, get signed up because you want to be a part of the greatest prayer meeting perhaps to ever hit America. People from all over the nation are going to be coming in. We're going to fast 48 hours, and we're going to send war into the heavenlies. We're going to loose the angels to do warfare, and we're going to bring down some of this evil in our nation. As you know, President Trump is in a big argument right now with the Democrats. Of course, the Democrats want to steal the election. Matter of fact, before I get into that, let me just talk to you a second. Okay, so you have to ask yourself a question. Why is it that the Democrats have gone so far left? Because anybody in America that has half a lick of sense is going to say, no, we don't want open borders. No, we don't want higher taxes. We don't want the Green New Deal. And everything the Democrats are doing, it's all communist. It is straight out of the Communist Manifesto. So unless a person doesn't want to live in a free country, unless they want to see America turn to be a communist country, they would never vote for that. And I think the left is not stupid. I think they're smart. They're actually probably smarter than the Republican side. Okay, so what are they doing? I think it's because they know that the Biden-Harris ticket is not going to win. But they also know that they have several plans to cheat to see that they do win. And then when they get in, they will be able to say, so try to imagine this, if the Biden-Harris ticket gets in, then they can say, well, we ran on this agenda and you voted us in, so you voted for it, and so now this is what you're going to get, you see. So I believe that they are planning several very big schemes, and we're about to talk about them, to get the Biden-Harris ticket into the White House. And then we will see our nation fall like a rock. It will be like a snowball rolling down a hill. Our nation will be falling apart very quickly if they get in. Okay, so what are some of their plans? I think that the mail-in ballot is probably the biggest one, but I do not think it is the only one, and we'll perhaps get to that in a second. I think the mail-in ballot will allow just about anybody, any place, to just fill it in. Here, let's put it this way. Let's say that all of a sudden you wound up with, say, 10 extra ballots in your mailbox. Being a Christian, you would probably say, oh, well, I guess I need to call someone and report these. These are not my ballots, or maybe you wouldn't go to that much trouble. Maybe you just throw them in the trash. But to someone that is evil, that wants to see the Biden-Harris ticket in, many of them don't care. And especially if they're low class and they have nothing to lose, they don't have any kind of a mortgage, they're just drifters, then they would say, hey, yeah, I'll get them in because they're going to raise the taxes and they're going to give me more free stuff, okay? I mean, that's the only reason anybody would vote for someone to raise taxes. It's because they don't pay taxes, and instead they want to get more free stuff from the government. So it's all communism. So they get 10 or maybe even 100 ballots in the mail, or maybe they go out to the front porch and there's a whole 2,000 or 3,000 ballots sitting there. What would they do? Well, many of them will pick up those ballots and send them all in various made-up names, or maybe the names are already on the ballots. All I got to do is just vote Biden-Harris, Biden-Harris, send them all in. Just check them all, Democrats, send them all in. You see, so that opens the door for mass fraud. Well, what would you do if you were king for a day, Stan? Here's what I would do. I would say, okay, here's what we're going to do. We have to absolutely positively know that everybody gets to vote, but everybody gets to vote just once. So I would say on November 3rd is the day everybody votes. There is no early voting. There is no late voting. There is no absentee voting. If you're going to be out of town, if you're going to be overseas, sorry, Charlie, you don't get to vote. Here's the way it works. You have to show up in person. You have to prove that you are a citizen and that you have to show a government ID with a photo on it and prove who you are and that you are licensed and you are registered to vote and all of the approvals. Then you have to stick your right index finger down to the second knuckle into a blue or a purple dye that is indelible. In other words, it will take 2 or 3 days to 2 or 3 weeks to get it off of your finger. And that means you only get to vote one time. So if you're out of town, I guess you don't get to vote. In other words, we all vote on the 3rd not the second, not the fourth, not before, not after, so that we know everyone gets to vote, but they only get to vote one time, and we have to have a flesh and blood finger going down into that indelible ink to make certain that you only get to vote one time. Then all of a sudden, there would be a screeching halt to a lot of stuff. So what is actually going on with this mail-in ballots is it's the greatest way, though it's not the only way, that the Dems plan to cheat, because the devil cheats. He comes not but for to kill, steal, and destroy. That's what he does. He operates by cheating, lying, stealing, blackmail, working under the table. He is an evil, filthy demon. Now, with that in mind, let me read this particular dream from Dana Coverstone. July 25th, 2020. I call it post office shutdown, though he did not give it a name. He said, on Saturday night, July 25th, I dreamed that I saw the calendar fade from July to August, and the months of August through December were highlighted. Now, let me read that again. Remember that. That's very important. He saw a calendar fade from July to August, so this is telling us sometime in the July to August time, which is right now, and the months of August through December were highlighted and made bold on the pages. Then the scene changed. I was walking near an abandoned slaughterhouse in my hometown. It was boarded up and weeds and grass were grown all over. But suddenly, it came to life. While still maintaining its ugly, useless appearance, demons began to appear before my eyes inside the building, and were arming themselves with weapons and preparing for what seemed like war. Now, hang on just a second. What is going on? I believe that God is showing Dana here what the devil is doing. He is revealing the plans of the devil if we have eyes to see, if we have ears to hear, and a heart to know and understand. He's showing us that the devil is ramping up for war. Now, I don't think that this is a bullet war. No, brothers and sisters, this is a spiritual war. In other words, the devil is basically calling up the same thing we're doing. See, we're calling for 48 hours of fasting and praying, gathering together. The devil knows that. And see, the devil is more afraid of our meeting than he is the National Guard. He's more afraid of our meeting than anything else. He's more afraid of our meeting than the Congress. Congress is not going to shut down the devil. But what we're doing? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, sending out the warrior angels, pulling down strongholds, loosing the angels to do warfare. Now, let me go back and read that again. Listen carefully. This is revealing the devil's plans. So it was boarded up with weeds and grass, overgrown. Suddenly, it began to come to life, meaning now the devil, I'm not talking about next month, I'm not talking about the following month, I'm talking about right now. The devil right now is calling up his demons to go and fight against, well, who? He's about to tell us. They were arming themselves with weapons and preparing for what seemed like war. Okay, so he's saying that the devil now, right now, is preparing for war. And brothers and sisters, that's the reason I'm telling you, look, you can, if you're on YouTube, you can go down to the bottom. You can see how many people are viewing these various programs. And you got to ask yourself, how many people would it take for us to have the authority to loose the angel that is over America? In other words, Michael is over Israel. We don't know the name of the angel that's over America, but there is one. To loose the angel, the warrior angel that is over America, to loose that angel to go out and to pull down strongholds, and many other angels. How many would they be loosed with 25 people praying? I don't know. 100? I don't know. 500? Well, I hope so. But I can tell you, it's going to take a bunch. We got 350 million people in America. It's going to take a bunch. What this is saying, I know a lot of people just read on past this. Oh, they don't understand. Oh, this is very powerful stuff. This is saying that the devil has gone to war, a spiritual war. That means, brothers and sisters, we got to go to war. But see, we have more power because Jesus has given us power and authority over all the enemy. Now let's go on. They're arming themselves with weapons, preparing for what it seemed like war. Then I realized this town was not the only place that these preparations are taking place. I was seeing the awakening, listen carefully, the awakening of demonic sleeper cells all throughout the country. Did you hear what it said? I realized this town was not the only place They were making preparations all across the land. And that's the reason, brothers and sisters, yes, we're going to be streaming this, live streaming it. Yes, it's going to be on the internet. Yes, you can watch. Yes, you can pray along. But if we want to really have the power, what the other dream said is we have to assemble. Hear that word assemble. We have to assemble. I know we just had 2 crusades back to back. I know you just spent a pile of money on coming. I understand all that. But if we don't do this, you might not have that job. If we don't do this, you might not have that house. You might not have to worry about any of those bills. This has to happen. This has to be job one. I realized this town was not the only place these preparations were taking place. I was seeing the awakening of demonic sleeper cells all throughout the country. Cities like Minneapolis, Portland, Seattle, and Louisville, only opening assaults. And much more was planned by these cells in the way of violence and chaos. The first volley was an assault on ministers and Christian leaders. Well, why? Because judgment starts at the house of God. That means it's not going to stop at the house of God. It means that he's going to come against business, government, banking, everything else. So the devil is about to destroy our nation unless we destroy the devil. One or the other is about to win. It's not going to be normal. Our normal life we've had in the past is all gone. Either we go up, we get better, or we go down. We're destroyed. The first volley was an assault against ministers and Christian leaders around sexual temptations and accusations. The spirits of lust and pornography were unleashed with a relentless and vicious intent on pastors and Christian men across the country. I saw ministry marriages under attack and the need for Christian couples to focus on their prayer lives together to defend themselves against these spiritual attacks. I saw the outline of the nation and smoke rising from several outdoor funeral pyres. In other words, that's where they pile up wood real high and then they put a body on top of it and burn it. Okay? Funeral pyres from all over the country. He's saying Christian ministries dying. I saw headlines declaring a sudden increase and a nationwide suicide spike. I believe that included some in Christian leadership. See, the Christian church has had their dirty little secrets. And believe me, pre-trib is only one of the minor ones compared to some of the pastors having sexual relationships with their secretaries and people inside the church having just filth. I don't want to even say it. You know what's going on. Filth. Like the angel spoke to Dimitri, in the church is abortion, adultery, fornication, sodomy, divorces, all kinds of sin. I saw headlines declaring a sudden increase in a nationwide suicide spike. I believe that included some in Christian leadership. I also saw families gathered around each other crying and sobbing. Why? I'll tell you why. Because it's a Christian ministry that's falling. I saw angry people demanding that the government fix the problems because of the suicides. Namely, now listen carefully, the financial losses, forced evictions, job loss, depression spikes, drug overdoses, rampant increases in abuse, emotional, sexual, physical, in light of the continued COVID-19 lockdowns. I believe if we can come together under one name, the name of Jesus, for one purpose and only one purpose, and that is to pray for our nation. One name, Jesus, one nation, America. If we can do that, if we can get other ministries to put down their denominational differences and just say, all right, I agree. We need to fast and pray under the name of Jesus for our nation, and I'll come together for that. Now, you start some other stuff, and I'm out of there. Fine. We aren't going to start other stuff. We aren't going to try to proselytize anybody. We are only coming together for one purpose, one name, one nation. The name is Jesus. The nation is America. We're putting aside, that's the reason it's watchmanstrumpet.com, because that has no denominational connections, because this is not denominational, it's not Prophecy Club, it's open to the entire public. All you got to do is believe in Jesus to come. Now let's go on. Now here's what we were just talking about. I clearly saw post office shutdowns just this morning, the last 2 or 3 days. We have been hearing about this big feud because the Democrats say, no, we want you to give $25 billion. Trump gives a different number. like 3.5 billion. But basically, Trump is saying, well, you're asking for money to do all of these mail-in ballots, which are going to be stealing the election from me. I'm not going to give you money to do that. And basically, the Democrats are saying, then we're going to shut down the post office. So I think Trump ought to just say, look, I'm not going to allow any of these mail-in ballots. I'm not going to give money to the post office unless you come to the table and we do this thing right. I'm not going to give you the money to bail all your Democrat states out that are running their state wrong. I'm not going to do that. And that's the whole fight. And so the Dems are saying they're going to shut down the post office. Trump is saying he's all right, fine, go ahead. But you're not going to get the money to do the mail-in ballots, which I agree with him. Shut down the post office is better than losing the White House. Now, listen to what the prophecy says. I clearly saw post office shutdowns with openings only several days a week of being open and customers having to take larger packages to regional post office for shipping. I saw large fields filled with the smaller postal trucks that were parked for non-use. Now, what's that saying? That's saying that Trump is not going to let the mail-in ballot go forward, and I think he should not. I think he would probably lose the election if he let the Dems cheat, because if they can cheat and win, they will. If they can kill and win, they will, because that's what the devil does. He comes not but for to kill, steal, and destroy. And if he can destroy to get the White House, to destroy the nation even further, if it comes down to us losing the White House and giving it over to the Dems or shutting down the post office, I'd say shut down the post office, and I think that's what Trump is going to do. Now let's go on. I saw greater violence on the streets, and specifically I saw federal buildings being burned to the ground with threats toward those in government leadership. Now you remember what Dana was shown in an earlier vision where he saw inside the White House and he did not see anyone in the White House. Now, I don't know what that is, but we're going to talk about that in a second if we have time too. Then he goes on for the final paragraph. I saw elected leaders in hiding, surrounded by guards. That's the second time he's been shown that in a dream. I saw elected leaders in hiding, surrounded by guards. I saw the unemployment rate hit 50% in the headlines with no help from government, spurring greater violence in Washington, D.C. The crowds became even more heinous in their efforts to get attention, and I saw the same white figure, probably an angel, same white figure appearing saying, brace yourself, brace yourself, brace yourself, with the emphasis on the word brace. What's all this saying? It's saying that we have come into a spiritual war in our nation. The demons have been gathering and they've been getting whipped up. Remember the story of the wolves? They've been getting whipped up and they're whipped up into a frenzy, and the devil is sending them out to wreak havoc on our nation. Why? Because this is the devil trying to keep his people from being arrested by the sealed indictments. Because if those people get arrested and justice is served up, he's going to lose a lot of power in this nation. Now, and brothers and sisters, either America goes down into captivity and turns to the left, or we turn to the right and we go up, getting closer to God, and we have revival. We can choose captivity or we can choose revival. And I've been getting a lot of emails. I love you folks out there sending emails. askstan@prophecyclub.com. I love you sending emails, which, by the way, if you do send a video, please tell me what I need to see and also the time code where I need to go to see it. Don't send me an hour and a half video and say, hey, here's something good. I won't have an hour and a half to look at it. You got to tell me where in that video to go look. I have to do what God is telling me to do. I know you prefer to stay at home. You'd love to just watch the live stream, and I know some of you will have to. I understand that. But I'm also saying, brothers and sisters, I understand we just had meetings. I understand that it's a financial burden. I understand it's a time burden. I understand all that. But do you understand, if we don't do this, if we do not make a sacrifice, if we do not gather for a solemn September assembly, September 18, 19, 20, so that we can go to battle in the Spirit against exactly what we've been talking about. These demons are being gathered and whipped up and sent out by the devil, and if we do not stand together, we will fall together. We either agree that we're going to assemble under one name to pray for one thing, one name Jesus to pray for one thing, America. Either we do this, or we can forget our jobs. Look, when you're in some barbed wire prison camp, you don't have to worry about getting off a job. You don't have to worry about paying your bills. And at that time, it's a little late to say, you know what? I think I'd like to back up. I think maybe I'd like to go to that solemn assembly that took place 3 or 4 months ago. It's too late. It's too late. If you believe me, if you listen to me, if you think I have any wisdom at all, if you think I hear from God, if you think I can recognize when God is speaking, I'm telling you, this is God. I know this Dana Coverstone is getting attacked left and right. I sent him a prayer, and I said, brother, you got to pray this. You got to pray this prayer every day. Not only you, but your whole family. You got to get your congregation praying for you because he's been attacked unmercifully. People at his front door hollering, screaming, calling him a false prophet, and it gets worse. And by the way, I might add, it's going to be coming after a lot of people out there, but not us. We're going to put a hedge of protection around about us. But anyway, I understand it's difficult, financial. It's a problem. I understand it's difficult. But you have to understand, if we don't do this, we're going to lose our nation. And it's not just one person saying this. I mean, you look back at what Shane Warren was told. You look back at what Terry Bennett was told. There's numerous people that God has spoken to, sent specifically to the people that will listen, people like Prophecy Club and our listeners. He's warned us. This doesn't have to come, but it is coming if we don't assemble together. You need to go to www.watchmanstrumpet.com. Watchmanstrumpet.com. Watchmanstrumpet.com. You go there. It'll give you all of the details about the meeting. Get signed up. Now, we're asking $25 a person just to know that you're really going to be there. But you and I both know, okay, count this up. The hotel's charging us 3 days. $3,000 a day is $9,000. But you know what? That doesn't even count to move the chairs. They charge us to set up the stage, the chairs. They charge us extra for just about everything, to bring in more light, more electricity, charge us everything. Then you got to have, the big projectors. Well, we don't have big projectors like that. We want to rent them because they cost too much. So we rent the projectors. We got to bring in a sound man. We got to bring in sound equipment. When you're this room holds 5,000 people. Now, because of COVID, they aren't going to let us have more than 550 some odd people in the room. But we still have to fill that whole room with enough audio. So we're estimating somewhere between $25,000 and $30,000. $25,000 and $30,000 put on this meeting. Now, if you divide that out by 500, and I haven't because I don't even want to. I don't even want to ask that donate. Look, here's the way I look at it. If a person's willing to pay for airfare and meals, and they don't have to go to a hotel if they want to, they can just stay in the room. I mean in the big room and just fast and pray. But if they're willing to come here and fast and pray and get on their face, then I don't want them to have to pay a whole large price. I believe there's people out there would gladly donate enough to see that $25,000 or $30,000 for the room is paid for. Let's leave it low at $25 a person to come in. We want people to just come in and fast and pray. Just, hey, if you're I wish I had the money to just say, here's a phone number. If you have trouble coming, if you need financial help, call this number. We'll get you here. We don't have that money, but we'd like to. Boy, if somebody call in and give us a donation big enough to do that, I'd love to be able to do that. Just, hey, call this number if you need help. We'll get you here. We'll help you with your air ticket or something. Get you here. So I want to keep the registration low, $25. Now, obviously, with some $25,000 to $30,000 expense for the meeting, that's not covering the expense of the meeting. So if God has blessed you, and if there's any way you can help us cover that, then please do, because I don't want to have to raise that off of $25 a person. So go to watchmanstrumpet.com. Another thing I ask you to do is I need your help. I'm not convinced that just Prophecy Club can come up with enough people to fast and pray to make a difference spiritually. In other words, I know that we need to fill this room up, which holds 550 people. I know that. That's got to happen. But what we really need is probably more like 3,000 to 5,000, maybe even 7,000 people, where I got to get a different venue, and I can do that. But that venue would be like $30,000 a day. But again, we can do it. The main thing is we need people there. People, and not just anybody. They're not coming for games. This is a solemn September assembly. People that are coming that know how to reach the throne of God with their prayers. People that are willing to fast and pray and get on their face and spend 48 hours. Every time I start talking about this, I start getting emotional. 48 hours reaching the heartstrings of God, crying out, saying, God save our nation, God save our nation. That's essentially that's what we're, Lord, bring justice to the justice system. Bring righteousness into our government, righteousness into our business. Heal our nation. Just like 2 Chronicles 7:14 says, if my people that are called by my name shall humble themselves and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and I will forgive their sin and heal their land. That's the formula we're doing at this meeting. So I need your help. I need you to go to other ministries out there that are Watchman type ministries that might have the right kind of people and say, look, go to watchmanstrumpet.com. Okay, and don't tell them it's sponsored by Prophecy Club or Stan Johnson. It's not. It is sponsored by the people of America. And send with watchmanstrumpet.com. Hey, we're getting people together from all denominations. It's not sponsored by any one person. It's sponsored by God. And we want them to send people to watchmanstrumpet.com, watchmanstrumpet.com, so we can save this nation. watchmanstrumpet.com. How Pre-Trib One exposes the dirty hidden little secrets pastors and board members don't want exposed, which explains how the lie of pre-trib beat the truth of post-trib, and the people would have it so. The church will hate it for exposing the truth about the rapture. It also gives the 4 foundations you'll need to understand the truth about the rapture. Proof of post-trib, 25 pre-trib questions answered, 1 for 20, but don't do that. We offer them in shrink-wrap sets of 10. 10 for 30, 20 for 50 at prophecyclub.com. In 2017, I memorized the book of Revelation. I was shown a secret door linking the feasts to the prophecies of Revelation. For the first time, the book of Revelation can be put in correct chronological order. You can understand Bible prophecy. We offer them in shrink-wrap sets of 5. 1 for 20, but don't do that. 5 for 35 or 10 for 60. What is the most important information to every beating heart on the globe? After accept Jesus, it would be don't take the mark of the beast. Those taking the mark of the beast do not get soul death, but are tormented in the lake of fire and brimstone for eternity. How do you tell them? Give them miss the mark. We offer them in shrink-wrap sets of 10. 1 for 20, 10 for 30, and 20 for 50 at prophecyclub.com. Over the past 32 years, I've collected the best 101 prophecies from Dimitri Duduman, Michael Boldea, Leslie Johnson, Henry Gruber, Shane Warren, Terry Bennett, Marie Sklar, Augusto Perez, Doug Metzger, and more. It's called God's Warnings for America. We offer them in shrink-wrap sets of 5. 1 for 20, but don't do that. 5 for 35 or 10 for 60. My new book is called Tribulation Secrets in Daniel because that's what it does. It shows you the part of Daniel you need to know, being you're about to be a tribulation saint, and will desperately need to know and understand about the last days you live in. We offer them in shrink-wrap sets of 10. 1 for 20, 10 for 30, and 20 for 50 at prophecyclub.com. CornerstoneAssetMetals.com is owned by a prophecy student who reads his King James Bible and supports Prophecy Club. Call CornerstoneAssetMetals.com for gold, silver, palladium, rhodium bars, or coins that can help you roll over your IRA, 401k. So tell CornerstoneAssetMetals.com Prophecy Club sent you. I also just learned that Heaven's Harvest has more food in stock. That's right. Freeze-dried, the coveted freeze-dried food in stock at heavensharvest.com. And if you put the promo code in STAN, it helps your Prophecy Club, and it also gets you a packet of heirloom seeds free. heavensharvest.com. Promo code STAN, S-T-A-N. heavensharvest.com, STAN.
Prayerfully consider supporting the Prophecy Club with your gifts of support. We would not be here without your prayers and generous financial support.
Click like, share, and subscribe. Download our free app from the App Store.